As a continuity to the topic of RPET, it is a pleasure for one Mehta to welcome another Mehta. Please put your hands together for Shri Bharat Mehta from none other than Reliance Industries Limited, the market leader and the driver of polymer industry. Bharat Bhai, I need to complete an obligatory part of introduction. Please allow me. Shri Bharat Mehta, B.Tech Chemical Engineer, NIT Warangal. He has done his postgraduate in marketing from IMT Ghaziabad, did his certification course in export marketing. Before joining Reliance in 1995, he worked with Easter Industries Limited in polyester film market research and Swadeshi Polytechs in staple fiber manufacturing. Roles handled at Reliance, regional and all India sales of PET, setting up distribution and sales infrastructure, industry MIS, advocacy. Current role focuses on business development, technical services, sustainability, and RPET for all the applications. Over to you, Bharat Bhai.
Thank you, Deepak Bhai, for the wonderful introduction. Good evening to all the responsible ladies and gentlemen in this room. Shakespeare said, "What's in a name?" I say it's all in the name. RESPack. R is 3R or 6R, what Dr. Shivram said. E is extended producer responsibility. S is sustainability. And P is the 5th P of marketing, packaging. We are all from the packaging fraternity. So RESPack, very thoughtful name. Let us all give a big hand to this name, RESPack. So, while talking about RPET, it is also important to know from where RPET was born. The parent is PET. So, to talk about RPET, we have to talk about PET as well. It is like what we say in Hindi, choli daman ka saap, the top shirt and the scarf jodi. So, at Reliance, we make PET, the trade name Relpet. And we also make Relpet Green, which is the circular packaging solution. We have a very small plant. We were the first in India to establish that. It's a very small plant based out of Nagothane. And of course, for Relpet, we have plant at Hazira and Dahej in India. And we have another plant in Malaysia. Let me walk you through the contents. This one, yeah. Broadly, the contents are, first I'll touch upon the often missed positive aspects of plastics. Then how PET packaging is a responsible packaging for the planet. How RPET can strengthen the PET in a very synergistic manner. And brief on various recycling technologies, LCA. And then briefly about our Relpet green molecule. And lastly, how PET, RPET supports sustainable development goals and what is the value addition to the Indian economy it has been doing. So every day we wake up somewhere or the other, we find beaten up, on plastics are bad, plastics are this, plastics are that. But have you ever wondered, in the year 1800, the world population was 1 billion. Today it is touching 8 billion. So the population of the world has grown 8 times. So was there any material available in the natural resources which would have sustained this population growth? So Mother Nature only inspired mankind to produce plastics to tackle this situation. So in 220 years, 8 times, so of course, metal, glass, everything, they're all wonderful packaging material, but we needed certain material which will cope with this situation which has been thrown. So this is about the world, and India also, it's not a different story, quite similar. About 6 to 7 times population growth is there. And then, plastics, after plastic, I'll talk about now only the PET molecule for which this session is there. The safety system of PET packaging is well defined. It is approved by world bodies, US FDA, EFSA, USP, WHO, in India, FSSAI, BIS, they're all there. And because PET is a non-toxic plastic, it is BPA free. It has no orthophthalates. It has no leaching of heavy metals. It is recyclable. It is a green molecule, low carbon footprint. It is unbreakable. So since its introduction in the world market in the early 80s, more than 300 million tons of PET has already been used globally, and more than 15 trillion bottles have been packed and consumed by the consumer. This is the highest epidemiological safety evidence for the PET molecule. And even for our PET today, US FDA or EFSA approvals are generally accepted globally. So in the last decade, there were NGOs who were raising a lot of questions in India. Yes, the worldwide studies are there about PET. What about the PET study in India? So we have an association, PACE, Pet Packaging Association for Clean Environment. The Secretary General is over here. And Reliance is a member of PACE. We instituted a study wherein we did a study on whether they do leach BPA, phthalates, or heavy metals. The finding was there is no such thing to fear about. They are all below the migration limits. And also we did whether PET releases endocrine disruptors. So the study on rats was done, female and male mice, and over a period of time, the blood hormone levels were measured. They were comparable with glass. So there is nothing to fear of. This is one good study done by an association in India for the safety of PET. And PACE has also done the study on the recycling landscape of PET in India. This was in 2017. NCL Innovation Center did this study, and it was pan-India. The report at that time said that 65 to 70% of PET is already being recycled by the organized sector. Another 20% or so is from the unorganized. So since last several years, 80 to 90% is what PET has been getting recycled in India. Today, it is nearly 90 to 95%. Anyone can visit petrecycling.in and see a glimpse of this report. And then we also did the LCA with ICT, and Dr. Habu is here, who has helped us guide through these studies. And they compared glass and PET. The global warming potential of glass is 300 times that of PET, is the outcome of this study. And PET scored much better on potential for acidification, eutrophication, ozone creation, and terrestrial ecotoxicity. So this is all about responsible plastics, how we are a responsible plastic. So from PET bottles, you can, it has numerous reincarnations. The sportsmen that you see, that they wear this dress, they are all made from recycled PET bottle. The IPL matches, which are very popular, T20 matches. The carpets, the various jeans have some content of recycled PET bottles. The straps, the jackets. So a lot of activities possible. And in India, there are nearly 50 producers of recycled polyester fiber and nearly 60 producers of straps who are using recycled PET. 30 producers of sheets, and today we have 3 producers of RPET. When we say RPET, it's a very broad subject, but we will mostly it is for the SSP recycled PET. There are 3 producers today of RPET in India. So these are some of the advertisements that PACE gave in newspaper for awareness, and this was very much appreciated by Niti Aayog and a lot of associations, that this sort of awareness is quite important. And this was on the front page of Times of India, Economic Times. And this was at the time when the SUP thing ban was very, very prominent and was going to get introduced. So PET recycling capacity is spread across all the geographies, though more concentrated in north and followed by west, but it is there in other belts, also south, and some of them is in the east as well. So about 105 units who are involved in manufacturing of PET flakes and 50 producers of fiber and yarns. This is not what industry is saying or the literature is, the institutional literature is saying. Even in Rajya Sabha, such question was raised on PET recycling. Then the Minister of Environment himself has stated on the Rajya Sabha that a large quantum of packaged water bottles manufactured every year, it is estimated that approximately 90 to 95% of PET reach the formal or informal recycling industry already. So this is sort of known that it is, PET is having a very high recycling rate. Of course, the littering issue is there. There is no formal structure, but it all gets picked up and goes for recycling. And also another aspect of how we are a responsible packaging, like in PET, not only Reliance, Indian Railways, various brand owners, Coca-Cola, Parle, they have put up these machines. This was in the pre-COVID era to create awareness. They did not do much of collection, but they helped in creating awareness at Reliance stores. This were put up, you drop a bottle and get a discount coupon and get it redeemed at the Reliance retail store. And some of these machines are even mapped on the Google Maps. And so this is another aspect of recycling of PET. And also it was very important while we inaugurated these machines that we shared some stuff which is made from recycled PET. At Reliance stores, when there was a large crowd, Madam Priya Dutt was there, and she was gifted a scarf made out of recycled PET bottle, and that became buzzword that a lot of demand from celebrities came that they also needed such scarf. And the bags, you have all got those recycled bags made from PET bottles. And even Bombay, in Maharashtra, there was a ban. There was a big concern because to replace these carry bags, some other shopping bags were needed. So these help reduce the litter. They are reusable and also made from recycled PET bottles. So Modi jacket, the brand name is Modi jacket. I'm also wearing this, and it has 55% recycled PET content. And you can see Mr. Parimal Nathwani ji, who is being given this on an occasion of inauguration of a machine. Even you can see our ex-honorable President of India, Shri Ramnath Kovind ji, who is doing on rounds on a Swachhta Bharat Sarvekshan, and you can see my colleague Rajiv standing there. And the Secretary of Ministry of Urban, he's showing him a coupon after dropping a bottle that a 750 rupees off on a flight is possible on a Paytm booking. So when we are having water, the packaged drinking water has so many tests being done before it is delivered to the table. Microbiological testing, organoleptic, chemical, toxicity, pesticide, residue. Today you are seeing these glass bottles. Though we are feeling very happy that we have replaced plastic, just remove those caps and see there are black stains. I'm not sure whether they are safe, but yes, this is what sustainability is about as on today. But I think this is something very, very safe, and the quality in this of water in this bottle is not going to match the water ATMs or the water served in glass bottles in the hotels, because so many tests are not performed on this water. So this is another aspect how PET has been responsibly delivering water safely. So coming to the subject of RPET now, the EU SUP directive sowed the seeds of circular economy globally. It mentioned that 25% rPET content is compulsory for every brand in Europe by 2025, and it will go up to 30% in 2030, and minimum recycling of 77, 90%. Italy had come out with a tax on virgin plastics, but they have been postponing because of COVID. And even Spain is going to come out of such measures to dissuade the resins made from fossil fuels, but these have not yet been implemented. Another aspect in Europe is tethered caps, so that the caps do not get dislodged from the PET bottle. That is another thing that is being introduced. And of course, the extended producer responsibility has already been announced this year in India as well. And after this came in, a lot of resin manufacturers, large converters, and startups started rushing into this circular economy space. And also, Mr. Voss also covered that a lot of brand owner commitments is already there. Several brands have committed 25%, and several brands want to go up to 100% of RPET. And so these are some of the brands which Mr. Voss also showed that they have achieved 100% RPET in certain geographies already. So recycling of PET waste to textiles and bottles, very, very schematically, the used bottles are baled, the baled bottles are sorted, the flakes are made, the washing is done. It goes into textile. If it has to go to PET, it goes into RPET resin plant, where it is first extruded to pellets, and then it is subjected to a process of SSP. Now, talking about how much of RPET is available globally across several geographies. When we talk of this RPET pellet, this is strictly the SSP pellet. So if you look at mechanical recycling, so mechanical recycling has the highest share today, and in Europe and the US, they are quite similar in total capacity, slightly higher, Europe is there. And Asia, it's very low today at 155. And chemical, very pilot capacities are there in Europe, but one operational plant is there in Japan, in Asia. So chemical, of course, it's quite a 3 to 4 year old plant running in Japan. And then there is this semi-chemical process wherein you take some flakes, do some hydrolytic, glycolytic degradation of that flake and mix it with the virgin melt. IVL, JBF Europe, UK Polymers have such plants where they give a single resin, blended resin, 25 to 30% with RPET content. So this is broadly, roughly 1.5 to 1.6 million ton of RPET is available globally, and 80% is mechanically recycled. So when we talk of these flakes, when we, though for fiber, lot of contaminations levels can go in, but when we talk of food grade, we have to be very, very aware of what all sort of contaminations are there. And like PVC can come from the label, the HDP, PP from the caps. Like when you have the liquor bottles, which use the aluminum caps, there could be traces of aluminum, the glue, and of course, different colored flakes and some paper would also be there. So these all have to be reduced. So you need a lot of sensors and sorters on the lines to produce a very good quality RPET. And in India, very few units have that. A lot of manual sorting is there. So as the time comes, more sensors, sorters have to be put up on these washing lines. And leading wash line suppliers for production of PET flakes, some of them, the major ones I mentioned, Sorema, Amut, Herbold, Boratec in India, they have the largest share. Beer Group, they are here. There's this Changwon Group of Taiwan. And of course, Sorema line has come to India, Herbold is coming, Boratec. So these are the three predominant who have already entered India. And the leading mechanical recycling plant, our friend from Irima are already there. Then other are Starlinger, Protec. Protec is a small supplier. One of their large customers is Reliance. We have our plant in Nagotani, which is with Protec, or the OHL, which was called earlier. There is Bandera, URRC. URRC is mostly by Veolia, and Bipex has certain small plants in Vietnam. Polymetrics is, of course, partnering with Irima for giving the SSP, and they are available for other technologies as well. Then Krones, so like I mentioned, 80% of RPET is mechanically recycled. Chemical recycling, there are various ways of doing it. The largest being the glycolysis process. It can be glycolized to give BHET, a monomer, and plus some oligomers. Then there is the methanolysis process, which yields RDMT and RMEG. Hydrolysis, RPTA and RMEG. Then there is ammonolysis, not much is happening on this front. These three, a lot of pilots have come in. In fact, for methanolysis, Eastman has announced the largest plant in the world, 1 lakh tons. That will be the largest recycling facility. Hydrolysis, of course, Gren is there who is doing that. And of course, the enzymatic recycling is also a sort of a hydrolysis process. They also yield RPT and RMEG. So these are the few names of chemical, semi-chemical, and enzymatic Reliance technology suppliers. The first Ionica, Gren, Cure, Chempet is Garbo, Perpetual is the Polygenta, which we have in Nasik also. So these are all glycolysis, Japlan is glycolysis, Carbios is enzymatic recycling, Eastman is methanolysis, and there is Crossmofy, which gives the glycolytic degradation equipment. IVL and DAC have put up these facilities at their resin plants. And of course, Mr. Walls also mentioned about Eunomia report. Eunomia report, which was released this year, mentioned that the depository return scheme in Europe, wherever it is there, it is giving a better quality of RPET because it is a very cleaner bottle for recycling. And so DRS, these are the countries where DRS is already established. So this DRS is fast catching up in Europe. In India, the retail segment is very, very fragmented, and it is quite a challenge to introduce here. And also, though Maharashtra government announced in their in their scheme in 2018 that those who are using PET have to introduce DRS. But after discussion with the GST department, they had to withdraw that, and they replaced that with a buyback scheme, wherein you see those, Dr. Vibha Dhawan was mentioning in the morning that you get a reward, and if you return 8 bottles, you get 1 rupee. Mr. Venkateshwarlu was also mentioning. So these are all there in Maharashtra, under the buyback scheme. So this is something, another, I think the brand owners, as they plan to introduce RPET in India, they may consider this, but this will be a big challenge and quite a complex for a situation like India, but it is an ideal situation for a good RPET quality. So NAPCOR did a study with Franklin Associates where they have done a compared recycled PET with virgin PET, and as per them, there are a lot of benefits, lot of reduction in terms of energy, solid waste, acidification, nutrification, photochemical smog when it is RPET is used. But when you look at the situation in India, about 25% of PET today is going into non-food. It's a 1.2 million market, and only the 900,000 tons is available for RPET. And here also you have to separate the green color, which is also recyclable, but for food contact RPET, you would need a sort of a transparent resin. So at Reliance, we have RELPET. RELPET Green is the circular economy B2B product. We also produce Recron Green Gold fiber, which is the fiber from recycled PET. And the fabric made is called RLAN from Recron Green Gold. So we are doing about recycling of 2 billion post-consumer bottles, and we are soon going to expand in a year or 1 year and a half to 5 billion bottles in the bottle-to-bottle as well as bottle-to-fiber space. We call it upcycling. Dr. Shivram was talking about downcycling in the morning, and because like typically a PET bottle of IV 0.8, when it comes for recycling, it goes into fiber, its IV is 0.7, 0.72. It is, the IV of that is higher for in respect of fiber. Fiber product is 0.62, 0.64, but when they use the post-consumer, it is already at a higher IV. So it is an upcycling for them. Even for PET, we are able to raise the IV in SSP. So PET, the downcycling can be avoided through these SSP and these economical measures. So I'm just bringing the context because he touched upon this subject in the morning. And we have this plant in Nagothane, which is OHL technology. We buy the flakes, melt filtration, and SSP. These are the simple stated steps. And of course, there is pre-drying of PET flakes, extrusion of PET flakes to pellet, pre-crystallization, SSP. The extruder that we have is a 12 screw type of extruder to give a high degree of decontamination and a better dispersion quality. So as far as regulatory roadmap in India is concerned, MOEF amended their PWM rules in 2021 to allow use of recycled PET, recycled plastics for food contact subject to FSSAI standard. FSSAI in 2022 January gave broadly the directions that PET and plastics for food contact will be allowed whenever BIS comes with its standards, and listing of rPET suppliers, approved rPET suppliers, will be displayed on the FSSAI website. In May 22, they amended the FSSAI packaging act also, wherein they allowed recycled PET for food contact. That was a draft notification. The final notification is expected soon. Now the ball is in the BIS code. They have to make suitable amendments to these standards, and also wherever there are statements that recycled plastics for food contact is not allowed, they will have to amend the same. In India, this is the regulation today. We are in 22-23, so 100% EPR is expected from every brand owner, producer, importer, brand owner. And from an obligation to recycle is there, and 50% from the year 2024-25, and then it is going up to from 50% to nearly 80%. And then obligation to use recycled content from 25-26. The brand owners will have to have about 30% content of rPET in their bottles or in their secondary packaging. Their total recycled content in their package should be at least 30% of the total weight. So if we talk of PET, if we have to achieve 30%, we would need 400,000 tons of PET. By 25-26, that means about 20 lines, 22 lines of rPET. It's quite an ambitious goal, but yes, that is what is the regulation today. And this we had presented to the government of India when they were talking of SUP, that what is the PET forward chain. The resin manufacturer, equipment manufacturer, converter, brand owners, if I have to total the MRP of the product placed on the shelves of the brand owners, the value comes to about 4 lakh crores. That is the sort of value addition the PET industry forward chain is doing to the economy. Just 2 slides. And of course, similarly, the reverse chain, I have to hasten up. Again, if we take the kabadiwalas, balers, so there is also 3 to 4 lakh crores. And a lot of people are employed, 70 to 75 lakh, 50% are in the sort of collection segment, rag pickers, kabadiwala, flake manufacturers. They are a high employment industry. And if we talk of the sustainable development goals also, PET has been supporting these goals, no poverty, no zero hunger. So it is a livelihood for rag pickers, and a lot of people are there who you will see they started with a very, some amount of money in their pockets. Today they are big businessmen. And good wealth, well-being, the packaged water segment has helped deliver nourishment and wellness to the masses. Even during COVID, a lot of products made out of PET were used. And the decent work, economic growth, generally the PET and rPET put together, they are growing faster than the GDP of India consistently for the last 2 decades. And of course, the responsible production and consumption. And of course, when you talk of climate change, diesel emissions, lightweight, unbreakable, so there is reduction in this. So in terms of giving a touch of spirituality, plastics are sattvic, they are the good. And if you litter the plastics, it is rajasic, it is the ugly, bad, and things become ugly when you mix up everything and it becomes very difficult to reuse. So sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, good, bad, and ugly. Finally, we all read the Bhagavad Gita. There is a shlok embedded in the chapter 3 in the Bhagavad Gita. Anad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhava yagad bhavati parjanyo yagya karma samudbhava. Living beings need food. The food is produced from rains. Rains come from performance of sacrifice. We all know that the water evaporates and the clouds form and the rain happens. But Gita says the rain comes from performance of sacrifice. So basically, Samirji was Arvind Bhai was also talking of excessive greed that has created this industry's pollution, that have created climate change. So this is where The sacrifice is produced from performance of karma, which is the prescribed duty you have to. So we have to perform our karma, the plastic for the Swachh Bharat, PWM, EPR, sustainability, recycling, reuse, redesign. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the patient hearing.
Thank you, Bharat Bhai. Special thanks for redefining RESPack and taking it forward, giving a new dimension. We really appreciate. Just a few take